everybody! Welcome to another lovely episode of Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash. Perhaps the most chaotic show on the D&D Twitch channel. That is a lofty achievement, but I think we can claim that. I am Lysa Penrose, one of your hosts, brand manager of Dungeon Masters Guild, and if this is your first time tuning into the Dash, get ready, buckle up. It is sort of like an Iron Chef or Project Runway, Next in Fashion, I suppose, if that's your preferred fashion competition show, but combined with Dungeons and Dragons. So in a moment, we are going to reveal a secret theme, and our lovely poor contestants down there will have 15 minutes to create a D&D encounter based on that secret theme. I am joined today by a fresh new face who if you're a writer for Dungeon Masters Guild, you may have interacted with of late. My lovely co-host, Jack. Introduce yourself.
That's me. I'm Jack. I am a publisher services rep for DM's Guild, so if you publish things on DM's Guild, I probably look at it. I also work on the community manager for the RPG Writer Workshop, which we're in the midst of our Write Your First Adventure workshop for this summer, and it's very fun, and I'm very excited to do what these creators create.
Nice. Well, I'm very excited to have your RPG Writers Workshop on these designs as my co-judge. But let's jump right to our contestants. First up, two-time returning champion, which is unprecedented in the Dash arena. A truly intimidating foe. Sadie. For folks who haven't seen you introduce yourself twice before on the Dash, who are you? What do you do? How might they know you?
Hi, yeah, I'm Sadie Lowry. I am a editor, writer, artist, triple threat combo. I am most known for my Aberon adventures, as well as my work on the Adventurers Domestic Handbook. I'm here. I'm ready to party.
Yeah, so this is your third time on Design Dash. Do you feel like you have this extra level of wisdom you might be willing to share with Steve and Bryan?
Absolutely. My third eye, my mind is open and expanded by this point. If I had to give my competitors any advice, it's go big, take a big idea, take the passion behind that big idea, and run. People will correspond, or people will connect more with the big idea than they will the nitty gritty. So throw your everything into that big idea.
Right, great advice. Next up, we have Steve Fidler, a prolific creator on Dungeon Masters Guild. Steve, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Steve Fiddler. I own and operate Vorpal Dice Press. I create the Amaroon's Almanac line of products at DM's Guild, as well as Mythic Encounters with Bryan and ERF Jordan. And then also I do a lot of drive-thru RPG stuff as well. So I'm just trying to keep my fingers in every basket.
Yeah, you have some great series that you are publishing on Dungeon Masters Guild. What would you say of your design style folks might see from you today?
Probably a lot of nitty gritty to my detriment, I'm sure. Yeah.
You're doomed.
Yeah. I'm all about the small details and not the bigger picture, and I can get lost in that. So let's see how badly this turns out.
I'm really interested in seeing how that translates in the Dash. One of my favorite parts of Design Dash is that everyone has to create something around the same theme, but we get such different encounters, not just the ideas that folks run with, but the style of design and the parts of design that they choose to focus on. So I'm excited to see what you're bringing to the arena today. And last but certainly not least, we have Bryan Holmes. Hello.
Hey.
So tell us about yourself, Bryan.
I've been writing on the Guild for 3 years. Most recently is like all collaborations because there's so much talent on the Guild. Like you just want to work with everybody. So like with Steve with the Mythic Encounters, like it's spending a lot of time doing what I love and working with awesome people.
Another one of my if I'm talking about my now two-pronged favorite things about Dash and DM's Guild, a big part is that DM's Guild is very much a community. All of our creators bring as much to the guild as we provide as a platform, and seeing you all collaborate is just the best. So Bryan, you got the Twitter DM that you were going to be on Design Dash. What did you do to prepare for your time in the arena?
Well, I went back and watched all the episodes. Even though I've seen them, it was worth rewatching because it's a lot different than when you're an audience member versus going to actually do all this.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched those. I got real nervous, and I read my DM's guide.
Oh, okay. Any particular wisdoms in the DM's guide that you think you're going to engage in the dash?
I use the DM's guide for inspiration. Just like open to a random page, read a passage, and it probably will spark something.
Okay. All right. So if all else
where's my
fails,
DM's guide?
grab your Dungeon Master's guide. You mentioned that it's really different being an audience member versus a contestant, which are true no matter what. But I do know there have been audience members who will do the dash alongside the contestants. So if you're looking for a little creative jolt to your morning or afternoon, consider that. But before we reveal the theme, speaking to you, lovely folks in chat, you play a very important role in the Design Dash. At the end of the dash, I will head over to the DM's Guild Twitter at DMS_guild, and I will put up a Twitter poll so you can vote for which of the lovely contestants you'd like to see come back next month. But during the dash, you help us put together a rubric that at the end of the day means nothing, but is so fun. And really isn't that what matters. So you help us pick rubric categories that we're going to rate folks on as we go through and share their encounters, as well as what the scale we are grading them on would be. So in the past, it's been number of kobolds in a trench coat, 1 to 5. I seem to only ever remember the trench coat ones. Those really jump out in my mind because the other one is number of 1 to 5 dads in a trench coat. We can think outside the trench coat though. So keep that in mind as we reveal the theme, what you want the rubric to be and what you want the scale to be. All right. It is 11:07. Is everybody ready to hear what the theme is?
Oh.
Okay. Everyone in chat, I'm just going to trust that you're doing a drum roll at home for yourself because we don't have those special effects here. The theme of this Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash is Hero Academy. This is inspired by Theros. We did a Theros-themed event, or dash, during the D&D block party, but we didn't do one on here, so we've got to... but you know what? It's not called Theros Hero Academy, so this could be a Faerun Hero Academy, or a Hero Academy in your world. But yes, the theme is Hero Academy. It is now 11:08, so adding 15 minutes, we will give you till 23, we'll give you till 24 past the hour, just to give you a few extra seconds. The theme, Hero Academy, go forth and dash. All right. Jack.
What's up?
Yeah, so was this an expected theme at all for you? Or what did this throw you off? What do you think you would do?
I would not expect it. It's summer. Who's going to school in the summer?
Oh, you're right. Oh, summer school. The theme could have been summer school for sure. I see we already have folks running away with rubric suggestions in chat too.
Ooh.
Let's see.
What do we
Justice is suggesting rubric suggestion, number of gods. TK, rubric, better magic school than Hogwarts.
They could be any of them because it's probably the worst.
Yeah. Number of powers loaded onto the main character.
Lowest cost tuition. That's the
Number
one
of anti-heroes. Ooh, that's a good one. Grapes eaten while reclining in a decorative chair. Hero costume preferences. Lowest cost tuition. Number of mild-mannered kobolds. Number of edgy teenagers. That's a really fun one.
Enough to pack an entire high school.
Remedial hero classes. Best magic prom. I feel like that would be... Best magic prom kind of assumes that more than one of these encounters will have a magic prom. in it.
Yes. Well, when you think of high school, the biggest event would be either prom or graduation.
True.
And night under what would it be like night under the Faerun stars or Theros.
I feel like
The
there should be like
Theros
a special badge. Oh my god, night under the Theros stars. That's hilarious. I feel like there should be a special badge if you include a prom and it's the best prom, but I don't know if it should be one of our 3 rubric.
Oh yeah,
things.
because there's a lot of things happen in high school. I know a lot of things happened to me in high school, so.
Ooh, Key Squared. That's a great one. Rubric, most satisfying school bully to defeat.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. Number of feet distance between each student's desk, right? All right. Are any of these jumping out to you that we should include in the rubric for sure?
I do like the bully.
Yeah. School bully.
Because who better to be your
Yeah.
big antagonist than the school bully or a principal,
Yeah.
the evil principal?
Yeah. So we'll leave school bully as a very broad category.
Yeah.
It could be an adult who's bullying the students by being just awful. It could be if, I don't know, a dragon breaks into the Hero Academy. That could be your school bully. If there's a dragon school bully, I will be so happy.
Yes.
Best homecoming dance dress. I feel like, is it up for interpretation whether someone has included a school dance? Like, could it be, if no one includes a school dance, the person who's closest to having included one?
School activity, club,
Okay. Yeah.
football, sports game.
Maybe we'll say most school extracurriculars.
Yeah.
Crossing.
Thank you.
Do you
Bye.
think we'll see a sequel to Sadie's High School Musical from?
I've already seen folks in chat invoking
Yes.
that, wondering if we're going to see a high school musical 2,
They made
4,
how
11?
many of those? I don't remember. There was a lot, and then they made a High School Musical.
Ooh.
Right?
So I was distracted because NBS Gamer in chat says best/worst type of detention. I'm gonna write that down as a
Ooh.
possibility. Best worst detention.
Writing spells on a chalkboard 100 times.
Oh my gosh. The grading should be in letter scores instead of 1 through 5.
Oh,
So
yeah.
A, B, C, D, and then
A to
we'll
F.
skip, yeah, and then F. I feel
You know
bad,
what they
so
got?
bad giving someone an F though, but that's genius, the Willy Boo. Best
Well-
school mascot.
They'll get an F+. Best magical The Breakfast Club reference.
How about let's take a little peek to see where our contestants are jumping off from. And let's hope that I fixed the window capture. Yeah. Okay. I think you can see stuff. If this is too tiny to read, folks, let me know. I will try my best to adjust on the fly. But I'm looking at Steve's design right now.
Okay.
I wrote break a leg for him, and he added a little comment, my legs.
My legs.
Which makes me laugh. Ooh, I can see that they're planning this to be a solo DM player encounter. At
That's
least
fun,
they
'cause
have like a little note there.
It can also help narrow that down so it doesn't get so broad
Yeah.
that you start just pulling all these things. It's very focused.
Yeah. Which Steve had talked about how he gets really sucked into nitty gritty details. So having that focus is a really good strategy. Oh my god. Saskirt in chat says F+ is the worst grade. It implies you tried and still failed. Ooh, TK says we should call the rubric the report card. I like that. I'm going to write that at the top of my notebook. The report card.
And they'll have to show it to their parents.
Yes, that will be required. Harper's /Zentarum, interesting, with a question mark. I wonder how he's planning on incorporating these factions. I'm just going to scroll down to the first bit, but it says you wake up in your quarters, the sound of the early school alarm going off in your mind. I already like that this is...
Ugh. An alarm clock that goes off in my head. That sounds terrible.
Is there a snooze button for that?
Yeah, it is. Ugh.
Let's hop over to Sadie. Theme, Hero Academy. Alright. The Melfenstein Academy of Heroics is a floating metropolis gleaming in the sky above all others. Oh, we've got a school rivalry.
Yeah, they're doing a
going
school
on.
rivalry.
Villefort School
classic.
of Villainy. Ooh.
Yeah. Classic 80s school rivals. Maybe they'll have to go on a skiing montage.
Yes, that is very fun. I'm really excited to also see, as we read more, see if this is another parody of something else going on.
It could be.
Let's see where Bryan started. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes from across every realm. It's said we learn best from our mistakes, but the hero who makes these mistakes can often end up meeting a grisly end. Ooh, I love how Bryan is setting the scene for this encounter.
Ooh, it looks like he's going for a planar school.
Ooh, just reading this second paragraph, I'm so excited about just the concept of this one. Where it's the academy exists, capturing heroes out of their time and place at the moment they might perish. Isn't that such a cool concept?
That is very heady and philosophical and fun.
Ooh, yeah, that is quite cool. I'm going to look back at chat and see what other rubric suggestions we have. I don't think anyone has suggested anything else for the scale that we're grading on. It seems like everyone is on board with this being the report card, and we're giving out letter grades. Field trip is actually a real-world threat. Number of fraternities, sororities. Oh my gosh. D. Emerald says that a 10-foot pole, but it's like a ruler.
Best fantasy high school dating sim.
I don't know if you're taking any notes. I'm the note taker, really. So the ones that I've written down that folks suggested was most satisfying school bully to defeat, most school extracurriculars, best worst attention, or best school mascot. And I feel like we can pick 3. That's usually a good number. Were there any others that jumped out at you at chat that we should consider?
Just gonna scroll up a little.
Ooh, best school fight song. Oh no, Mimic Trapper Keepers. Mimics really do trap and keep.
Yeah, unless you defeat them and then you take.
Yeah.
Wackiest course, lesson, lecture.
I like that idea. Something to do with, like, if there's a class.
Yeah.
Wackiest, or, like, wackiest, coolest class. Or we could treat it like a school thing. So it could be, like, our favorite class.
Yeah.
I'll put
You could do it like
class.
superlatives.
Oh.
Was it like most likely to burn down their dorm room?
That's really funny. Most likely to burn down dorm room. I don't know how we're going to narrow this down to 3, though. Most cursed teaching post. Best fantasy magic sport. Oh, I forgot. There was one with, like, angsty teens.
Yeah.
Most angsty teens. All right, which ones are the top 3 for you?
Read them off again?
Okay. Most satisfying school bully to defeat.
I think that one's really good.
Yeah, okay, we'll put a star next to that. Most school extracurriculars. Best/worst attention. Best school mascot. Wackiest, coolest class, or maybe our favorite class. Most likely to burn down their dorm room, and most angsty teens.
I like the best class.
All right, yeah, best class.
Because it could be anything.
Yeah.
Which one did you like? out of the other one?
I like school mascot is pretty fun. But I also just like most angsty teens because it's something we can count as we go through.
We could do that.
Okay, cool. So our 3 rubric suggestions are most satisfying school bully to defeat, the best school class, and most angsty teens. Oh, Chrisicon, thanks for subscribing. You like most likely to burn down school mascot. Oh no, school mascot!
Most likely to burn down the...
Oh no! Most crushable non-human character.
Oh yeah, Justice is the most... featured the most like Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. Who taught me a lot personally as growing up.
We all learned a lot from Mr. Feeney.
I loved Boy Meets World.
This is now a Boy Meets World show.
Alright. Design Dash is canceled. Shut it down. Boy Meets World cast.
Ooh. Just scrolling very quickly through the rest of Bryan's design. The school exists between planes. Ooh. Oh my gosh. They have a teacher named Kite, who is a Rakshasa. A Rakshasa named Kitty. Oh, I just love the idea of like a planar school with all sorts of like how wacky and weird everything would be. I'm very excited to go through the rest of Bryan's encounter. I'm gonna click through Steve's again and kind of scroll through. All right, we're getting some details about what is in your room when you wake up. I'm seeing some other locations are detailed. Yeah, it looks like he's gone through and detailed a bunch of locations.
Yeah.
All right, they've got 2 minutes left. I think I gave them to 11:24. We're gonna just go to Sadie's design, Hero Academy. Looks like Sadie has honed in on this competition between the 2 schools. Which I feel like if you're trying to really narrow this down into like one encounter that you can complete in 15 minutes is a very smart decision. Oh no, there's going to be a murder. A spoiler alert. The more the PCs delve into the murder. All right, wow. Sadie has written a lot. I'm always so impressed.
I can write that fast.
Ashley says, I love a good class rivalry. The Astronomancer says, is it really a hero school without people getting murdered? You know what? Fair. Ashley, that was also an episode of Boy Meets World. The murder episode.
The murder episode. They did have the Halloween episode where everybody got murdered, but I think it was just like fake. I don't remember what the story ended up being.
I always get...
It was about their relationship.
I'm known for really liking spooky things, but I get so scared by spooky media. So that Halloween episode scared me so much. Halloween episodes in general. Oh my goodness gracious. It is 11:24. I'm going to go into our Zoom chat and call time. We're going to observe people. All right. I see people sitting back. I see them holding their hands up. All right. All right, cool. Let's I accidentally minimized the window. It is back. Hello. How are you?
Back.
Dear contestants, how are you feeling? Was that what you expected?
No.
Oh boy.
It's a really, really good prompt, and I failed it on every single level.
Well, who knows if you did, because chat put together the rubric, or shall I say, they've decided to call it the report card. For your Hero Academy encounters, we will be grading on a letter grade score. So A, B, C, D, and F, pluses and minuses are in play. And the 3 categories that we will be grading on that chat decided were most satisfying school bully to defeat, the best class, school class, and the most angsty teens. So we will be counting angsty teens as we go through these encounters. I don't know if Sadie's laughing because there are many angsty teens, or I don't know, cackling maybe. Let's just dive in. Let's just dive all the heck in. Sadie, walk us through your Hero Academy encounter.
Oh, I will. Okay. I didn't come up with a name. I was too busy writing furiously. Chat, please feel free to call out name suggestions as we go, and as we get to the twist, I would love to hear them. So the setting for this encounter, the Melfenstein Academy of Heroics is a floating metropolis gleaming in the sky above the entire world, and it is time for the annual clash against the Villefort School of Villainy, a grand competition that is said to carve nations with its grandeur. This is where the fate of the world for the next year is determined, where good and evil try to tip the scales. Whichever school comes out triumphant, that is the good or evil, that will be what reigns for the next year. So you can see how important this is. The classes clash with each other. Students fight against students, teachers against teachers. The students overseeing bestiaries will unleash dragons and griffins and drakes and imps that they've been raising into the sky. It's said to be spectacular if you can survive watching at a distance with a telescope. Lots of lights and meteors and dark tendrils in the sky.
I'm sorry, I've made the font a little bigger so folks in the chat can read.
Absolutely. But the PCs are, the party is called in ahead of time because something strange is happening. The students seem to be disappearing or falling ill leading up to the competition. But it isn't just one school. It's not just the good school or the bad school. Good and evil students and teachers are going missing. As the PCs investigate the academies, they have run-ins with various creatures of both good and evil. Asimar superheroes, your Superman, flaming genasi heroes, hulking fighters with greenish tints to their skin, and the griffins and Pegadopodes, they seem unsettled, striking at the heroes, and the villain school is no different. The PCs are hunted by drakes and imps, snarled at by dragons, and hunted by roguish bladed villains and frenzied barbarians. After narrowly escaping both schools and trying to investigate, they find a body suspended between the hero school and the villain school on the ground, and words of blood float around the body saying, "The world is sick of heroes. The world must be purged of villains. Who remains? Who remains?" So, the more the PCs delve into the murder, the more they're faced with strange, mind-bending encounters. Pools of water that make them face their worst selves, pooling out of nowhere in the halls. Mirrors that show them their deepest scars and their bitternesses. Whispers in the wind that drag to light their sins. It all seems to be coming out of nowhere. But is it? They follow these clues, the strings of bodies, leading them up to the time when the competition is supposed to take place. If they are successful in hunting down the culprit, they can potentially stop the all-out brawl. But if they not, then enters an armada never before seen, the Edgelord School of Anti-Heroes.
Okay, so a whole school.
A whole wielding their edgy backstories in blades and cutting words, summoning the memories of their dead parents and spurned lovers, and manipulating vices, alcoholic addictions, gambling, risking your own life for the thrill of the chase. The anti-heroes have decided that the world will be theirs for the next year, and it is the PC's chance to either stop them or join them. If they join them, they throw the world into an edgy anti-heroes noir for the next year.
No.
They can stop them by either defeating them or by putting them through healing catharsis, addressing their pains, helping them grieve those that they've lost with social checks and arcana checks, and offering therapy services. The Heroes School will help pay for therapy, but the Villain School must be stopped from trying to sabotage this because they see anti-heroes as one step away from villainy, so they will try to intercede if you don't stop them. Tensions are high at the final climax. The fate of the world for the next year hangs in the hands of the PCs. So who will they support? Good, evil, or anti-heroes?
Oh my gosh, what a truly epic it's an encounter, but I mean really this could be a whole campaign if someone took these and like expanded them out. What I kind of want to know is what does the enrollment look like for this anti-hero campaign? How many students are there at this school?
I'm picturing like a college campus.
Okay, so
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I just feel
But
like
like
when we're talking about angsty teens,
That's the school of angsty teens.
it's the
Yeah.
school of angsty teens.
That's
basically.
true. Yeah. So we could scale that like somewhere between high school and college size, and it's a little bit elite, you know, like you either got in because your parents had money or because you're really good at what you do.
Yeah. But I feel like they probably have a little chip on their shoulder as anti-heroes. That
It's a really special
especially if
community
daddy paid
college.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if daddy paid for it, you've got something to prove.
Honey Badger in chat says, "Where are their parents?" The Astronomancer says the anti-heroes aren't allowed to have living parents. By backstory.
That's the point. They don't have any.
Yeah. So if you had, a few more minutes, or were going back and editing this encounter, where would you first add some like a little crunch, like some rolls or
Sure.
more or some D&D mechanics into this?
The whole thing needs investigation checks throughout, especially since you would want to have the opportunity to try to face the anti-heroes before it even comes to a full brawl. So the whole thing would need investigation checks, clues that you could find, like I would need to go in and identify the dead body, you know, what clues there are around the dead body, who that leads to. That's the first step. I had no time for crunch. I just wanted to get that story out, but the whole thing needs locations, clues, crunches, traps. It definitely needs traps. I put in some ideas for encounters with different beasts, but it just kind of needs crunch overall.
Goodness. Jack, do you have any questions for Sadie?
No questions. I do think that you've got a whole school. I guess that they didn't hear us talking about Boy Meets World, but they've got a whole school of oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Somebody in the chat's gonna yell at me.
Mr. Feeney?
No, the bad boy.
That's not that one.
Sean Hunters.
School of Sean Hunters.
So you've got you've got the Corys and the Seans. I don't know who the villains would be.
Yeah, so
Mr. Turner.
So let's go to the report card. So I feel like we'll start with the easiest one, which is most angsty teens. And I feel like
you can
because
see why I started laughing.
Yeah. I feel like because there is an entire school of them, Sadie for sure is in like the A territory.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I want to leave that plus just because we haven't heard from Steve or Bryan yet.
Sure.
We don't want to completely ruin the curve. So I'm going to write an A on Sadie's report card. But the other categories are a little trickier. There was like our favorite class amongst the schools, and I don't know if any specific classes were called out.
Only the bestiary I would think of Hogwarts as like care of magical creatures. That's the only one I really pointed to.
Okay. So I think because one was mentioned, well, I guess it's favorite class, so you really just need one. But I don't think there wasn't a lot of details. It's definitely not the focus. The focus is on this big rivalry, almost more of an extracurricular activity. So what letter grade do you think would be fair here, Jack?
Well, it's got a class. There's only one. Do like a C.
Okay.
It's pretty much in the middle. I mean, there's one there.
Yeah, magical creatures are pretty cool, but there wasn't a lot of detail, so we're gonna go and put a C there for you. And then most satisfying school bully to defeat.
An entire school of bullies?
Yeah. Would you say that it's all about, I mean, they are, like, poisoning and kidnapping people. I guess that's kind of bully behavior.
There was a Moida.
Yeah. I guess that depends on how satisfying, people find defeating this school of edgelords.
You could join them.
True.
Yeah. Like,
And you could defeat them by making them nice again, too.
Yeah.
Which would be
But
satisfying
isn't
to
that
help.
one of the best school bully redemptions? Is when you make them into a better person.
Ooh, a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, think of, was it Steve from the Stranger Things? He was a bully in the first season, but he was redeemed at the end. And that was the best redemption story of them all.
So I feel like there's definitely a bully. You can defeat them, but I also feel like the most satisfying would be if, like, it was like an individual person who you have like a grudge against.
That innate rivalry.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
So I feel like I would give Sadie maybe a B- in that category. This feels so much harder than grading people on a scale of 1 to 5. There's a lot of, like, emotion attached to these grades.
I remember when I got my first B-.
Yeah. All right, Sadie, thank you so much for sharing your encounter with us. We are going to jump over to Steve. I'm going to scroll up to the tippy top. My legs.
My legs.
All right, Steve, so walk us through.
Oh, there's not too much to walk through. I got hung up on the details.
As predicted.
So there's a lot in my notes here. So failed mages, that was pretty much the only thing I went off of. I was thinking of using like the Harpers and the Zentarum and the other factions from Forgotten Realms as like the school groups in Hogwarts type of thing, but I didn't do that. And then I did do this. So it's a solo player encounter for a 0 level character. So no class levels. And yeah, lots of chances to fail, mostly on my part.
Steve.
So content warning, if you've ever been laughed at school for failing at something, you're not going to like this. So little content warning there. So essentially it's sort of narrated from the perspective of the character, the player. So you wake up in your quarters and there's an alarm spell that should be that way. And essentially you're waking up and you're reminded that this is the day. This is the day you have to do your ritual. If you don't do your ritual, you're going to fail and you're going to get expelled from the Mages College. So you get this quick option here to go through your room and gather your stuff because you're waking up. You don't have all this stuff on you. So it's a little bit of a chance to fail. So a couple checks here. So you can find your spell book, pretty important, with a scroll and some inks. A reagent pouch with the items you need for your spell, which you're not going to do very well if you don't have these. But they're not all there. And then if you're lucky, you can find a gold pouch. And if you're extra lucky, you're reminded that your arcane focus is behind the door.
Propped up behind the door. Cool.
Yeah. So, you move on, you have your open schoolyard, you're introduced to the fact that everybody kind of understands that you are going to fail. You're not well respected at this college, and nobody wants to help you. And you're given 2 options. So you have the cafeteria and the ritual chamber. Most people wake up hungry, so I'm hoping most players will go to the cafeteria first. Otherwise, I didn't get a chance to build a fail there. So you get this option to get your wine because that check up at the top about the reagents would indicate that you were missing a reagent. So you get a chance, a little bit of a social encounter here. You can get your wine, and if you don't get your wine, then or if you don't pass the check, then you have to bribe your way in or use the scroll of friends that you have. And hopefully you get the wine. And then there's just this little DM prompt here that reminds, if you didn't know about the wine, you get a chance to find out about it You move a little bit forward, you go into the rituals chamber. I like doing these. I know other adventure writers don't really like them, but especially for DM and player. So the DM should be running a real shot clock on this. If it took you 15 minutes to get here, you're going to interrupt one of the rituals from one of the other students.
Oh, no.
And again, remember, if you fail these, you fail. So the student's going to be mad at you. And then I was going to write 20 of these. And then I got to 5 and realized, uh-oh. So these go in order. So the first ritual is animating a book. The second one is polymorphing an iguana into a Nick sheep, because you mentioned Theros. And if you fail, you get a stench cow. I love that. I love the Nick sheep because I want to make a hoodie made out of its fleece. And then igniting some candles. This is some DM chance to kind of randomize how this plays each time. And there's this one, I couldn't think of a fail condition for the light show. And then your own ritual. So you have all the items you need, hopefully. If you don't, you can't possibly pass this. I really should have wrote something for that here. And then you are essentially making Spellslayer wine, which is from Forgotten Realms, and I forgot what one of the ingredients was, so I just made one up. And you essentially make this, and if you don't make it in the right order, so you get a chance to, with a check here to remember, if you don't make it in the right order, everybody in the room loses the ability to cast spells permanently, including yourself. Because I can think of anything that wasn't awful.
That's so bad. Why was this project approved? Okay. Goodness.
And if you succeed, you drink the wine and you become a wizard. This is essentially the delineation of what path you take to become a in this college here. If you fail, you get lorded out of the class, you get dragged out of the school, everybody laughs at you. And if you get this option to become a warlock, because, you know,
cool.
I always think of warlocks as failed wizards. I also wrote a class on Drive Through RPG that is a failed wizard, the Mage Errant. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from for this.
Steve, first of all, you made it sound like you didn't write that much, but you actually wrote a whole bunch. I love that this is like a level 0. Like this could be part of a session 0, where you kind of meet and you talk to folks about what directions they think they want to go. Like, so if someone wants to be a spellcaster, then you can do like a one-on-one session with them. And it's like builds in so much backstory that a lot of like emotions from playing this session can be tied to. I think that is such a cool concept.
Yes, I agree. I think that you could have different items and things that you find that are randomized that lead you to which school of magic the wizard would end up in. If and so then it could be kind of like part of that whole backstory. Like, oh, I wanted to be, you know, in whatever, but ended up picking the wrong broomstick, and now I'm in evocation.
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of the little a lot of the details that you've added as you were writing this are just, they evoke so much. So I love the list of student rituals. I can just envision all these little experiments in my head. That's really cool. And I like the details of even just like the spell components. It really brings this school to life, I think.
I'm glad that came through.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, how much did this match up with your usual design process? Is it the same thing, just sped up, or was it wildly different?
Wildly different. I would never start writing first. It would be ideas, research, gather stuff. You know, I would have gotten the actual ingredients for Spellslayer wine. I would have found a mage's college to stick this in, because I don't even know what setting this is in. You know, and I would have researched so much of this before I even started writing anything other than the words. And I probably would have put a title on it, because I like titles to start.
Oh, I like naming things too. Goodness. Was there, in having kind of been forced to write stuff, do you feel like you would ever take some of this and incorporate it into your normal design process? Or do you think this was so much anxiety you hated it, you will never do this again?
It was a lot of anxiety, but I think I could see a lot of benefit in a very quick, rapid production of something, just to isolate all the things you did wrong right off the bat.
If you had, say, 5 or 10 or even another 15 minutes to work on this, where do you think you would have spent more time?
I would have done a bit with that research, but I would have finished it. I would have probably done the whole 20 rituals. It would have been maybe, 4 students and you pick them at random so that there's more replayability. I probably would have used Jack's idea, now hearing it, of adding delineation in your wizard school.
That's really cool.
Maybe even throw in like different eldritch beings that you can encounter for the warlock, different things like that. But yeah, I definitely would have just fleshed it out and made it into a full, are you a wizard or are you a warlock adventure?
Yeah, I like that there's like a consolation prize if you fail. You still get to use magic. You just also have to sell your soul.
Just a small fee.
Yeah.
So, looking at the report card, which I didn't realize as we were brainstorming this rubric how much I would be like, oh, I can't give anybody anything. This feels so bad.
Yeah, it's the worst.
What did you do to me, chat? I couldn't be a teacher if you have to grade people. But going through the report card, I don't know if there were any specific angsty teens called out. You could say that, you might be an angsty teen, but I feel like you have good reason, since folks don't seem to be very accepting of you.
I feel like if you weren't an angsty teen before this, you would be afterwards.
Yeah.
If you didn't complete it and you walked out and became a warlock, you would be an angsty warlock.
Yeah, and I feel like because there's the chance of you're messing up someone else's ritual, then they also are potentially angsty. So I would say this is average angsty.
Average angst, yeah.
All right, yeah. We're gonna do an average of C for angsty teens. What about most satisfying school bully to defeat? I don't know if you're really defeating bullies in this encounter. Although things can go off the rails.
Yeah, that's true. Any of the people that you interrupt their rituals could become your villain.
Yeah.
If anything, you might be your own villain. You're your own worst enemy in this situation, not being able to get through the ritual.
Yeah. I would
but
also...
there isn't any...
Yeah, there's no specific bully called out, but I feel like this is very much the description made me think about what just school was like, and how if you're not on people's good sides or you're not in their groups or whatever, things can be really isolating. So again, this feels like a really unfortunately average school experience in that way.
Might have drawn it from some real life experiences, maybe.
Oh no, so real. So I think I'm going to put a C there as well, but I saved this for last because what do you think about coolest class? I think it's pretty cool that
this is a pretty cool class.
Yeah, that you get to spend. It's almost independent study. You get 6 months where you can put together whatever ritual you want, and I feel like, especially because Steve included all of these specific rituals that are so fun and flavorful, that I think this class seems really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if you could come up with 20 of those, every single one would probably be as interesting as just the 5 here, and I would love to read them all. So
yeah, chat is saying an A for coolest class category. Saskirt is so bold as to say Stench Cow gets an A+.
Just the Stench Cow.
I feel comfortable putting an A for that category, though.
Got one.
Yeah.
This is just like college.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for sharing your awesome encounter with us. We're going to jump over to Bryan.
There. All right, so when you said we don't know where this is going to be set, I thought, why not set it everywhere? So heroes of any world, of the inner planes, the outer planes, any Eberron or Forgotten Realms, that they're often put up against the worst odds, and that if they come across a villain that they can't defeat, history likes an underdog. And so what they do is this school will teleport them out at the last second, and you'll be in this sort of bizarre extra-planar place. and this school is there to help you overcome that challenge or train you to overcome that challenge. It's still up to you to do it. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of Sigil, a little bit of Planescape, and a whole lot of like high school musical, like Sadie wrote. But you know, all those colleges and stuff. So we've got a couple of NPCs. Whenever I write, I like to jot down just sort of point form things because my players go off the rails, and it's good to have a few anchors to come back to. So I've got the headmistress, who's a tall, robed figure. She's called the head of education, and no one knows if it's the same person or if it changes. But she wields absolute authority and is a frightening figure. It's the sort of thing where if you're pulling a prank on another student, or you know you got into a fight, she's there. You didn't hear her coming. She just poof right behind you, giant. And all the teachers would be extra planar beings. So Raksasha to teach you fiendish lore, a gift to teach you about astral planes and the interactions between the Githyanki and other people. The idea being there should always be someone who is native and expert to the things you're going to learn as a hero. You're fighting off a red dragon in a Gith, and that dragon is breathing fire on you. You got teleported out, and there's a big hippo man telling you what you did wrong. I also picture this as being a place that's a little wacky British, like Red Dwarf or anything from Douglas Adams. So everything should be a little extra. You have diplomacy, politics, and brewing, because it turns out drinks really help that. So when your students first arrive, the way I wrote this a couple times and erased it, but I want them to show up and there's like Modrons helping them figure out their schedule, their itinerary, telling them the rules of the school, telling them which rules of the school are allowed to be broken, provided you're not, being watched, that sort of stuff. Because it should be, again, wacky. After I started writing their itinerary and all the order of things, I realized we were running low on time, so I quickly smashed 3 books together. So the first one being, who took the head of education snack from the cafeteria, and why did it end up in hell, in the vault of Asmodeus? Because if you're going to hide someone's thing somewhere underneath, Asmodeus is a pretty safe place. Again, Sadie was a little bit of inspiration here. The school is required to put out a musical for the Lord of Winter. Got to get in that Fae. Everybody loves Fae. So in here, you gotta put this musical on for the Lord of Winter. But the problem is he hates everything. So you got to come up with something he's gonna love. And that's just, you get that stone faced the whole time. And then at the end, obviously, because the players are great, he's gonna end up loving something. And the last one, Design Dash is being held, and a contestant is choking and running out of time, and so everyone needs to help him. Basically, I see this as a place where the heroes end up, and to find out more about themselves, they need to help other people with their problems. Which is why I ended up with that last one. A great battle is happening, and the 2 leaders are brought here because they're about to inflict a mortal blow on each other, and in finding out how to end the war, it's more about peace than fighting. Because I'm all about I know everybody likes grays in their morality. Black and white. Heroes are heroes. It's a hero academy. These 2 guys end up to be heroes to each other. Make peace. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Bryan, you have created, this isn't on the rubric, but I feel like, one of the other things that chat brought up was a magic school cooler than Hogwarts. And I just think this is such a cool school idea. I love the concept just of heroes who are about to perish but have so much potential, and they just get snatched out of that moment in time into this other dimension. And then I guess the idea is they could be then just snapped back into that moment and have that opportunity to triumph after all. Yeah. That is just... Oh, I would play a campaign just based around that, where everyone can come up with their backstory of what their big heroic thing they were going to do was, and then the campaign is doing all these other things and learning and growing. I think it's way cooler than Hogwarts.
It could also be slipped in at the end of during a campaign. If all of a sudden your players are about to perish, you're like, well, actually, you get snapped out, and now you're at school.
Yeah, that's basically where I started from, because the players failing isn't a really great story. I mean, a heroic sacrifice is great, but getting a second chance, I like an underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had another 15 minutes, so double the time, where do you think you would have focused on?
More NPCs, more. If you've ever read the Encounters books on the guild, like the Encounters in Waterdeep, Encounters in Avernus, those are great little, like, sort of Mad Libs on how to generate encounters so that you don't run out of content. Oh, players are going from here to here. I can just roll and see what's along the way. In school encounters, I mean, there's nothing threatening. It's all role playing. So a book full of all the different school factions and students and teachers, all the weird teachers you can totally tick off and then have to appease. And how do you appease them? That's what I would try and go for. Try and make more playability in the in between.
I love the thought of there being a bunch of random encounters or encounters you can choose from, but they're more roleplay focused little scenarios to fill in. Fuse 45 in chat says they love the idea of this school, and then they wrote, "Oh man, I totally had that Trask where I wanted them. Where am I now?"
Yeah.
We also have to bring up that you have the best NPC in Kite the Rakshasa, which might be pandering to Lysa a little bit, but I like it.
All my NPCs have horrible names. All my adventures. When I started writing this, I wrote down acronym because I needed to figure out some groan-worthy bad acronym well before finishing this write-up. I wanted to go in there and have like school, the Society for people who've been pulled out of blah blah blah. But I really wanted a groan-worthy pun.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think just adding in little fun things in names and gosh, even headers and stuff makes reading encounters or adventures so fun. So I appreciate that. Did you have any other questions for Bryan, Jack?
I don't believe I do.
Okay. Bryan, aside from the fun little names, what in here reflects your normal design style?
Oh god, the puns were the big one. So with my players, I'm reactionary. I know a lot of DMs will say that they're reactionary. I just go off whatever they do. I don't like ad-libbing either, so preparing to ad-lib is weird. So I'll come up with a whole bunch of, like I called them before, anchors, NPCs that I can use here or there. Just give them the ideals and the bonds, and I'll figure it out on the fly where they belong. Classrooms, I'd probably put a whole bunch of classrooms in here, and they'd all be, like I said, weird and out there, so that if the players want to go somewhere, I've got that ready. Just names ahead of time, so you're not going, his name is Bob.
Yeah, you're basically filling the encounter or adventure with the tools that the dungeon master needs, not necessarily like a whole blueprint, but all the tools they can use to put together their own. I was trying to think of some sort of workshop-y tool-related metaphor for that, but I can't because I don't know enough about, I don't know, a hammer? I don't know. So going to the report card, Jack, I don't know if there's necessarily any angsty teens, or, I mean, there were some pretty wacky classes if we look at the teachers.
There could have been an angsty teen who stole the snack, but I just see that as a prankster.
But then it's like I'm kind of really focused on that most satisfying school bully to defeat. And I feel like it's not necessarily a school bully, but if they were in the middle of fighting a Hydra or a Tarask or something, that is their life bully that they want to defeat.
And then knowing that, like, now you're going to lose, and now you have the chance to go back and now I'm going to win, like, that would be very satisfying.
Yeah, it's all very tangential to that topic, to that section of the report card, so I almost kind of want to throw this report card away when it comes to Bryan's encounter and just bring back that suggestion from chat of, like, school that's, like, just the coolest. Too cool for school. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Under Bryan's name. No one ever sees these notes again, but it's written there, which makes it real. So we are coming up at the end of the Design Dash. Bryan, thank you very much for sharing your really cool encounter with us. So we're going to go through and do outros. But before we do, please make sound effects, celebratory sound effects at home. Please rip up a piece of paper and throw it like confetti, folks in chat. Because Sadie, you have won the most angsty teens encounter. Well done. Steve, you have won the coolest class encounter. Huzzah! And Bryan, we just ripped up your report card and you got too cool for school. Hooray!
Well deserved.
We're going to go in backwards order. Folks, for folks who weren't at the beginning, tell folks again who you are and where they can find you on the interwebs, which means we will start with Bryan.
So on Twitter, I believe that was shared earlier, all over the guild, because I like to collaborate with people, and I'll drop a link to, I've got like a, I don't know, not a storefront page, but a page where I've set up links to all my stuff. I can drop that in chat.
Maybe DM that to TK has joined the fray, who is our moderator right now, and they can help paste that link for you, because I think otherwise the Twitch chat will delete your link.
That's fine.
Yeah. Anything else before we go to Steve?
No, because Steve is awesome, and you should go to him.
All right, Steve.
Steve.
I'm Steve Fiddler, so you can see me on Twitter at Vorpal Dice Press. VorpalDicePress.com is the website coming up soon. Looks really cool. You can get my print version of The Warden maybe next week. Who knows? Drive-thru RPG, not DM's Guild, unfortunately. And you can also find me on almost all of the channels in which you would find people talking about Dungeons and Dragons, because it's my favorite thing in the world ever to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Sadie.
Hello. You can find me, Sadie Lowry. You can find me mostly on Twitter and on Discord. My Twitter handle, I still haven't changed it, is incandescent, the word, except stick an awkward A in there, incandescent. I know, I'm working on it. I write, I have a couple of really cool anthologies that I'm a part of coming up. One is Eyes Unclouded. My mind just went blank. Supers and Sorcery. That Kickstarter was just announced. I'm a writer and editor on that as well. And then a secret project that should be announced soon.
Ooh, always exciting.
Very cool. It's with Anthony, Justice, MTB, and a couple other people, and it is good stuff. So come hang out with me on Twitter and Discord, and I've got some good stuff coming. And also, please follow Bryan and Steve. They are lovely. I love them.
Yeah, you all rocked this challenge. Jack.
That's me. You can find me, Jack's Not Funny, on Twitter, but also follow the RPG Writer Workshop. You'll see a ton of stuff coming out towards the end of the month from all of our participants. We have so many people about to publish so many cool things. But yeah, follow us there. We're going to be releasing new courses throughout the year as well. It's going to be a really good time.
Awesome. And I have been your host, Lysa Penrose. You can follow me personally at Lysa Penrose across all of the social media, or follow Dungeon Masters Guild at DMS_guild or DMs_guild on Twitter and Instagram. Jack runs Instagram, or Jack that way. Follow the Twitter for sure, because after this episode wraps up, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to start a Twitter poll for who you want to see come back next month. It is up to you to decide our returning champion. And go to dmsguild.com if you want to find titles by these lovely creators and others. Right now we have a Christmas and July sale going on, which means thousands and thousands of titles, D&D PDFs, adventures, supplements, player options, you name it, are 25% off until almost the very end of the month. So go there, treat yourself this weekend. Treat your dungeon master as a thank you.
Give yourself a present
this weekend. Yeah, get yourself a present.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. And on that note, we will see you next month, third Friday of the month. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.